In this week's Savo, we will read about the commandment of Bikurim. Every landowner must bring the first fruits of the Shiva Minim to the holy temple. The property owner would inspect his field, and if, for example, he would see the first fig, date, or pomegranate is now ripe, he would mark it and declare that it is Bikurim. He would then bring this designated fruit to the Kohen in the Beis HaMikdash. The verse states, Uvasa el HaKohen asher yeh bayamim hahem. You shall come to whomever will be the Kohen in those days. The Sifrei quotes Rabbi Yossi Aglili, who asks, would one think that it's possible to bring the first fruits to a Kohen who does not live in those days? Rather, it means that he must go to a kosher, a proper Kohen. This message is what is meant by Koheles, chapter 7, verse 10. Don't say and ask, why were the days of the past better than today? For it is not from wisdom that you ask about this. The Razina Rebbe in his Sod Yesharim explains that every Jew must do everything in the best and finest manner. Therefore, no one should be critical of the leaders of his generation. No one should give Hashem advice as to how and through whom the light of Torah is transmitted. The current Kohen is an instrument of Hashem's will. Don't say that in the past there were nicer, finer, greater, and holier leaders, for everything originates from the same source of heavenly wisdom. Certainly, in the past there were prophets and possessors of Ruach HaKodesh, divine inspiration. However, the sages in Baba Basra 12 state that although prophecy was taken away from the prophets, it was not taken from the sages. Therefore, a sage is greater than a prophet, despite that he is of a later generation. There were those that regularly disparaged the nascent Jewish institutions in America. They would state, Amol, Amol, once, in the Alta Haim, the old home, we had rabbis, we had chazanim, we had shuls, batei midrash, houses of study. Torah leaders today are imposters. Judaism today is just an imitation of what was. I just want to add an aside here. This obviously is not in the radio broadcast. That my father was born in 1923, and he was of the generation of first Torah scholars, rabbis, community leaders that were born in America, and they faced exactly this challenge of how to be accepted, especially by congregants who were used to the Alta Haim. So this subject, I'm sure, was a sore subject for him. But thank God that generation was extremely successful and laid the foundation stone for what institutions are today throughout the world. Okay, back to the broadcasts. The story is told of a naysayer, a very critical person who was walking with another on Motzei Shabbos. They encountered Jews standing outside for Kiddush Levana. The Jew said to the naysayer, "Look how fine and dedicated the Jews are, standing in the streets, sanctifying the moon." He answered with a sigh, "You call that a moon? Ay, in the Alta Haim, there we had a moon." Of course, in prior generations, we had great sincere Jews, tzaddikim. However, the Torah taught, you shall come to whomever will be the Kohen in those days. Reb Shlomo Radomsker clarifies that every generation has great rabbis, Torah scholars who perpetuate the Jewish people's existence and that can potentially bring them to the glorious future, the Yamim Haim, to the future when Hashem Echad U'Shmo Echad. Every generation has tzaddikim that can bring the Jews closer and make them feel as if they are standing before Hashem, your God. Lifnei Hashem Elokecha. Further on in this week's Sedra, we read about Vidui Maestros. If someone had withheld bringing his Bikurim, Trumos, and or Maestros, then in the third year of the Shemitah cycle, he must remove all those holy items that he assembled and take them to Yerushalayim, to the Beis HaMikdash, and distribute them there to those he owes. Afterwards, he has to recite a confession stating that I have removed the holy things from the house. I have not transgressed any of your commandments, and I have not forgotten. I have not eaten from it in my mourning, and I have not consumed it in a state of contamination. And I did not give it for the needs of the dead. I have acted according to everything you commanded me. All ask, what sin did he commit that requires such a long confession? Moreover, what type of confession is this if he is detailing all the good things that he did? We understand a confession as one with shame and pain telling of his failures, not his achievements. So why is this Jew now confessing? Interestingly, after the portion regarding the Biur Maestros, the removal of the tithes, we read, "This day Hashem your God commands you to perform these decrees and the statutes," upon which Rashi states that every day should be new to you, as if today the commandments were given. Further, we then read, "You shall observe and perform them with all your heart and with all your soul." Rashi states on this verse, a voice from heaven, a bas kol, blesses him, saying, "Today you brought Bikurim. You should be privileged to do so again next year." Rabbi Shua Belzer asked, the immediately preceding portion speaks of the removal of the tithes, the Biur Maestros and the WEVD Maestros on the third year in the Shemitah cycle, not of Bikurim. So why is the bas kol relating to Bikurim? Let us examine as to why this person held back from bringing his Bikurim, Trumas, and Maestros until now. It could be because of difficult circumstances, or because simply he was lazy, or maybe because he didn't like the Kohen. He felt that he wasn't a kosher Kohen. He felt he wasn't firm enough for him. He delayed bringing them until he would find a better, holier Kohen. However, the Torah states that at the end of the 3 years he must bring them, with the most important factor being that he must bring them in the best and finest manner. The Torah is forcing an attitude adjustment, requiring of the Jew to adopt a different perspective on current leadership. When he performs the removal of the tithes, he must not avoid the Kohen, and this leads him to see the Kohen in a different light. He then confesses that he made a mistake, a miscalculation regarding the Kohen's fitness, for he admits that he now feels, while standing before this Kohen in his days, the joy of standing before Hashem, your God. The Belzer Rebbe goes on to explain that this Jew had to bring the delayed Bikurim, Trumas, and Maestros in the third year on Pesach. Shortly thereafter, on Shavuos, he had to again bring Bikurim to the same Kohen. The Torah instructs him to do so with all his heart and all his soul, just as if the Torah was given today, as though he was standing before Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron HaKohen. He would then feel in front of this current Kohen uplifted and a joy of standing before Hashem. The heavenly voice, the bas kol, blessed him with respect to Bikurim, since the bringing of the stockpile of delayed holy gifts instilled within him the proper perspective regarding current leadership, which then enabled him to properly and timely and in short order bring his Bikurim. Let each of us indeed perform our obligations properly and on time, and also respect our current rabbis and rebbeim, our Rosh Yeshiva, Torah scholars, and B'nai Torah, and we will then merit to hear the bas kol, the heavenly voice, blessing each and every one of us. Shabbat Shalom.